The Chicago Bulls continue to struggle as they get beat by the New Orleans Pelicans, 114 to 104. We're going to be talking about the key takeaways from tonight's loss. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Modest Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we're talking about the key takeaways from tonight's loss against the New Orleans Pelicans. And so, look, I always like to start with the theme of the game, and that is just really a point that describes what we saw in tonight's game. And so I just have one, and really it's the same story for the Chicago Bulls. And what we mean by that is really all the stuff that the Bulls have really struggled with this season continues to happen in these losses. And so, number one, there was defensive lapses here for the Chicago Bulls. I felt like that the Pelicans got some easy shots at the rim, and the Bulls got beat bad in the paint tonight. That's another place where really they've struggled all season. And then offensively for the Bulls, look, they were very much up and down and out of sync. I think that that is something that we continue to see in these losses for the Chicago Bulls. It's just really they are not in the same type of flow that they were in at the start of the season. Like, it's just not clicking there offensively. And so really struggled there. And then next for the Bulls, once again, I think that they continue to give up good performances to opposing teams' rookies. And so we saw that with Con Knipple, and then now we see it with Jeremiah Fears in this game. And so Jeremiah Fears in tonight's game, he had 20 points. He was a plus 12 in the plus minus box score. He had 2 steals. He also had 3 assists. He was 5 of 6 from the free throw line and 7 of 13 from the field and 1 of 3 from deep in 28 minutes. Also, too, the Pelicans, well, they got their stars to show out as well, because Zion Williamson, he had 18 points. He was plus 6 in the plus minus box score. He had 2 assists. He had 6 rebounds. He was 4 of 5 from the free throw line and 7 of 14 from the field in 27 minutes. And also Trey Murphy III had 20 points and 10 rebounds to go along with an 8 of 14 performance in 34 minutes and 2 of 3 from the free throw line. And so the stars played well for the New Orleans Pelicans. And so that was another thing that the Bulls have really struggled with too, as well, as just slowing down the opposing team's stars. And so once again, same story for the Chicago Bulls. Lastly, what I'll add to that is that the Bulls got down early in the game. That's something that we have talked about with this team, is just really not getting off to great starts with the energy and the effort. Then they were able to fight their way back into the game. In fact, I think they had like a 14-0 run in the third quarter when they were down by 13 to get back into the game. They get close. They get into the fourth quarter and they're not able to close it out. So that's the same stuff that we've been seeing with the Chicago Bulls. And so now I wanted to go ahead and jump into the starters and the bench. And so we'll be looking at each player and their performance today. And so starting with the starters today, and with Modest Buzelis. And so with Modest Buzelis, look, it was a very interesting game because he got off to a good start, got a very nice, easy layup. He hit a 3-point shot, and he had a vicious dunk on Trey Murphy III. And then it just slowed down for Modest Buzelis. Like, it was very quiet for him. You see that he played 24 minutes. He was 3 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 1 steal as well, and he was -7 in the plus minus box score. And so, once again, I think Modest Buzelis, man, I would like to see him a bit more aggressive in the game. Also, too, I think defensively, he got some fouls called on him there. I kind of wonder about that stuff, too, with him, because I think he's been very up and down there, even though he's had some good block shots. And so he didn't get any in this game, but still got off to a hot start. And then just really, we didn't hear too much from Modest Buzelis the rest of the way. next, Josh Giddey. And so with Josh Giddey, I really loved his effort. I think that he did everything that he possibly could do to really try to will this team back into it. I think that that was something that was mentioned throughout the broadcast, was the energy that he was kind of bringing there in the third quarter. And so 11 points, a -6 in the plus minus box score. You see that he did have the 4 turnovers. He had the 5 assists. He did have 7 rebounds in this game. And he was 2 of 2 from the free throw line and 4 of 10 from the field and 1 of 3 from deep. And another thing, too, to mention about Josh Giddey and his performance was really, man, it was a tough start because he was in foul trouble. I think he had like 3 fouls there in the first half. And so that was a tough situation there for Josh Giddey, but, definitely gave the effort there for the Chicago Bulls. Next, speaking of effort, I thought Coby White did the same thing. I thought that he really tried to will the team to the win as well. He had the 20 points, a -10 in the plus minus box score. He did have the 2 turnovers. He had 2 steals. He had 5 assists. He had 5 rebounds. He was 3 of 3 from the free throw line. You see that he really struggled from deep, 1 of 10 from downtown in this game, and he was 8 of 18 from the field in 28 minutes. And so with Coby White, I think that he kind of took off in the third quarter. He was really trying to get things going. He was being aggressive and everything else. And it just really didn't work out for the Bulls there. But both him and Josh Giddey trying to will the team to the win. With Nikola Vucevic, look, it was another tough game for Vooch. And in this game, I think that Vooch was really passive. Like, you could just tell that one of the things that Vooch was doing is that he would have Derek Queen on him. And instead of like going at Derek Queen, he would just like maybe turn for a second, and then he was looking to pass the ball. And so, I think one of the things that was mentioned there with Vooch is, man, he's got to be more aggressive. And so Vooch not nearly aggressive enough in this game. And there was one move that he did put on Derek Queen that was very nice, where he took it and then he like faked the dribble handoff, and then he went right at him and he did a nice little spin and an up and under move, and he went right at him. I wanted to see more of that from Vooch. We didn't see that. So 12 points, a -11 in the plus minus box score. He had 8 rebounds. He had 4 assists in this one, 5 of 16, 2 of 6 from downtown in 31 minutes. And so I just think that Vooch was just not as aggressive as he needed to be. And then with Isaac Okoro, and so you see that he had the 5 points in this game. He also was a -1 in the plus minus box score as well. And he had 3 rebounds. He was 1 of 8 from deep and 2 of 10 from the field in 24 minutes. And so for me, I think that Isaac Okoro, man, he just looked like, I don't know if he was just kind of flat, but some of the shots that he was shooting up, I think that it like hit the front of the rim. Some of it, like it would go a little over the rim and stuff like that. He wasn't airballing, but you could just tell maybe the energy wasn't there, from that last game. He probably expended himself a lot in that last game. Remember, this is just, I believe, his second game coming back. And so, he just didn't look, as energized in this game as he did against the Hornets there. And so I just think that that was really the key there with him. And so next, going ahead and looking at the bench performers today. And so look, on the bench today, I think that the biggest key performer for us was Kevin Huerter. I thought that Kevin Huerter, he did a terrific job off the bench in this game. I think that really with him, I think that he came in, he knocked down like early 3-point shots. Like there was one play where Buzelis is driving down off a fast break. He hit him there. Then there was another 3 that I think that Kevin Huerter hit early. And also too, I think that Kevin Huerter kind of got like a little fired up because there was a call in which Jeremiah Fears goes to the free throw line, but you could clearly tell that Jeremiah Fears like pushed off, and you could tell that that fired Kevin Huerter up, and that kind of went ahead and kind of sparked him a little bit more. And so he had 16 points in this one, +3 in the plus minus box score. He had 4 steals as well because he was super active defensively out there. 4 of 8 from downtown and 6 of 12 from the field. So I love the effort that I saw from Kevin Huerter. This was his first time back, in quite some time, with the injury that he's been going through. And so it was good to see him back, knock down some shots, and defensively, I think that he competed a lot out there for the Bulls. And so next, just looking at some other performers off the bench here. And so for Zach Collins, look, he didn't have the strongest game this time around. I know we were talking about that, especially after the game that he had had there against the Hornets. But in this game, 2 points. He was a +2 in the plus minus box score. He did have 2 rebounds, 0 of 1 from deep and 2 of 2 from the free throw line in just 12 minutes out there. And so I'm not sure if Billy Donovan wanted to go ahead and maybe take a chance and roll him out there some more. I don't know if maybe that slows down Zion a little bit more. Who knows? But again, I just think that if you're losing, you try everything, but it just wasn't Zach Collins' night tonight. And I think the same could be said about Jalen Smith. And so Jalen Smith, 6 points, a -10 in the plus minus box score. He was 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He did have 1 assist and he had 1 steal and he had 2 blocks in this game. And so both the blocks were very nice. Again, I think that, man, when Jalen Smith locks in defensively and he wants to get to blocks, he can certainly do so because he had some good blocks. He had one, I believe, on Jeremiah Fears driving in on a layup straight at him. And so he knocked it away there. I know that was one of the blocks that he had. And he had a nice one, too, in the first half, too, as well. But just wasn't his night offensively out there. And he also got some tough fouls, too, because there was one play where he was going to set a screen for Josh Giddey, and like, man, they called a foul on that one. And then there was one play where, he was trying to get some position to just maybe get to the baseline, and then the ref called a foul on that one. So a tough one there for Jalen Smith. And so next, with Patrick Williams, 8 points, a -13 in the plus minus box score, 2 of 4 from the free throw line and 2 of 4 from downtown. And he played in 24 minutes and 2 of 5 from the field. And so, with Patrick Williams, I thought that he got some open looks in this game. I think that there were some times where he passed up an open look. I did like the little dump off that he had there to Vooch. That was one of his assists there where he could have taken it up, but he got Vooch a nice little dunk once he got back into the game. But, still, I think it was the same type of effort that we've been seeing from Patrick Williams out there. Would like to see him be even more assertive, but again, wasn't his night like it was, some of these other players' nights there in Charlotte. So it just didn't happen tonight. Next, Dalen Terry. And so with Dalen Terry, I thought that with him, he played with good energy. And I think that we continue to talk about that with Dalen Terry, is that every time that he gets out there, he's giving you great energy. And so he had the 9 points in this game. He was a +8 in the plus minus box score. He had the 3 rebounds. He was 4 or 5 from deep in 13 minutes. And so, again, I liked what I saw from Dalen Terry. I continue to like what I'm seeing. I know, from just the statistics, you maybe don't see that in the points or the rebounds, but man, his energy has always been there, even in the losses. And so definitely appreciate that with Dalen Terry. And then with Tre Jones, look, it was a tough night for him. 2 of 7 from the field. I think that he was looking for some calls. He didn't get them. 0 of 4 from deep. And they were some very good looks that he was missing on, because there was like one at the top of the key, like the corner 3-point shots. Like, I felt like the Pelicans were giving him good looks. He just couldn't convert there. And so 5 assists. He did have 2 steals in this game. That is something that Tre Jones has done a great job with this season, is getting steals, -5 in the plus minus box score, and just 6 points. And so a tough night for the Chicago Bulls. Again, I just think that a lot of the stuff that this team continues to struggle with just continues to keep haunting them. And so until they can tighten up these things and really mainly play with just energy and effort and give themselves a chance every night, they're going to run into these type of results. And so now I wanted to go ahead and jump into just the team box score here as we take a look very quickly at just how that broke down. And so I always like to start just with the bench here. And so it looks like that the Pelicans outscored the Bulls 50-47. I think that they got some good contributions off the bench there for the Pelicans in this game. And so next, just going into other statistics here with the team stat sheet, is that with the 3-point shooting tonight in this game, it just really wasn't a good night for either team. And so you see that it was 27% here for the Chicago Bulls, you see that the Pelicans weren't any better at 24%. So I thought that that was a very interesting statistic in this game. So 13 of 49, you see that the Pelicans were 8 of 33. And then when it came down to the field goal percentage, 46 to 41. And so the Bulls not bad there, but the Pelicans, almost shot 50% there, 43 of 93. The Bulls 38 of 92. When it came down to the free throws, not bad for either team. So 20 of 25 for the Pelicans. They were getting to the line. I thought that they did a great job getting to the line more in the fourth quarter. The Bulls 15 of 17, 88%. The Pelicans there 20 of 25. Then with the rebound, so 53 to 43, they out rebound the Bulls by 10. Again, that's another thing that really I didn't talk about at the top is just timely rebounds that the Pelicans were able to get. The assists, the Bulls lead there 26 to 21. The steals 10 to 7 for the Bulls. And then as far as the turnovers in this game, the Pelicans lead 15 to 13. But you see that the Bulls gave up more points off of their turnovers, 18 to 17. And so that has also been a constant, for the Bulls. The next, the fast break points. And so you see that really there wasn't too many fast break points in this game for the Bulls. I think that whenever they get to 20 plus, I think that they are in just kind of into their game and everything else. And so under 20, I never like seeing that with the Bulls. And so 17 to 16, they barely win in that category. And then a big one here, the Pelicans 60 to 46 in the paint. And so that just kind of goes into just really, what I think Zion was able to do. I think Jeremiah Fears was able to get downhill. Also, too, I think that Missy came in. He got some tips, stuff like that. Like these guys were getting to the paint and they were scoring on the Bulls, which is something that the Bulls have really struggled with. And so, again, another tough loss here for the Chicago Bulls. I think it's much of the same story. You guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking as the Chicago Bulls are back in the loss column after getting a win against the Charlotte Hornets. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.